So why don't we begin? Nkosi, would you be kind enough to start the recording? You've already done that. Wonderful. Okay, great. So my name is Jeff Resnick. I have the privilege of being the volunteer chair of the Shady Grove Sector Plan Implementation Advisory Committee. I've been on the committee for going on 7 years, I think, and this iteration of the committee encouraged my volunteerism to lead the group, and I'm privileged to do that. The committee has met through the course of 2022, roughly every other month. We are on track to have a very productive new year, with our meetings again being every other month beginning on February 1st of 2023, the agenda to be determined. The purpose of this group is to, all of our meetings are public. All of our meetings are, anyone is welcome to our meetings, and I personally, along with members of the committee who are here this evening, each of us spread the word in our own way, along with planning, to encourage awareness of this committee and participation by all who are interested. And we do encourage very strongly the participation to, if anything, make people aware of development that is underway as part of the overall sector plan, changes that are afoot within the sector, opportunities that are afoot within the sector, and really to be informed about what's going on within the sector plan in all of its complexity. And it does have many moving parts. I don't claim to know all of those parts. I know what I know based on experience, and I think the combined experience of the members of the committee is quite substantial. And we're deeply grateful to Nkosi Yearwood, our representative, our staff person at planning, for his support of the committee, so we can continue to have these open conversations and bring issues to the fore and really learn about aspects that are impacting the plan currently or could impact the plan in the future. And it's really that I want to pivot to in a moment, but I want to thank Carol Kosary, who is taking the minutes this evening. She will be recording who is present for the minutes that will be posted as soon as reasonable after the conclusion of the meeting this evening. Tonight, so this is our agenda, which I have up on the screen here. What I'd like to do, if it's okay, is really shift directly to number 3, if there's no opposition to that, because we do have the privilege of our hearing from our colleagues and neighbors in the city of Rockville about the subject of annexation, which has been a very important aspect of life, I guess, in central Montgomery County over the years. And there are people on the call here who are far more knowledgeable about annexation than I am. But with the support of the committee, we invited Manisha Tiwari to speak with us this evening about annexation, what it is, what Rockville's plans are, and what we might anticipate in the Shady Grove sector. Now, why did I issue that invitation? The fundamental reason is I'm very forward-thinking, as some of you might know who work with me. I want to be informed. I want to help people be informed about what's going on in our community. I was on the receiving end in the Park Overlook community where I live. Many people were asking me, what's this about annexation? How does it work? What does it mean? Are taxes going to go up? What are the opportunities? I mean, people were peppering me with questions. And I said, well, these are really good questions. I will ask the committee if we can have an open meeting to talk about the subject of annexation, just to learn about it. So that's the origin of this. So by way of introducing Manisha, I'm going to put this in the chat for those who wish to read about it, because she has a lovely interview as part of the Rockville web domain. She's a principal planner in the Department of Planning and Development Services in the city of Rockville, and she's been with the city now for, I think, probably just over 15 years. And she's had a substantial role in shaping development in the city of Rockville, and a very important role for the city in its preparations for the 2020 census, which is a whole other matter entirely. So, Manisha, thank you very, very much for your time this evening and for talking with us about annexation. Over to you.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. I have been with the city for a long time. In fact, I got my 15-year award. So it's been a great place and I really enjoyed my time there. With me also from the city is Craig Semino. Craig, thank you for being here. He is the Director of Public Works. And I'm sure he's been there for much longer than I have. And he knows a lot about the city than I do. So, yeah, with that, is it okay if I share my screen and have I'll present a few slides to you?
Go right ahead.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing mine.
Okay.
There you go.
Can you see my slide?
Yes, if you want to begin the presentation, it'll make them a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Now can you see? Great. So thank you so much. You can see it now. Great. Thank you so much again for having me at your meeting. And
Manisha, before you start, this is Carol Kosery, who's taking the minutes. Could we get a copy of your slides?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll send it over to Jeff.
Thank you. Great. Just a little bit of housekeeping.
Okay. So yeah, I'm Manisha Tiwari, Research Manager with the City of Rockwell. I was a principal planner before, but now I do a lot of census work and forecasting and all that kind of stuff. I still do planning, so I'm in the planning department, but I do other things as well. So from what I understand, you have an interest in annexation, and these were the fundamental questions that you were interested in as a community. And the questions are on the slide, and it's really what is annexation, what is the process, and what is Rockwell's position on annexation. And I'll try to go through them, but while we're going through them, if you do have any questions, please feel free to chime in. Are you seeing the slides? Because I have two computers and I don't know which screen, or two monitors, and I don't know which screen I'm sharing. I can't see it from here.
So we see your main slide, and then we see a sidebar that shows your next slide, which is okay.
Yeah, let me share the proper the slide that I'm supposed to monitor, that I'm supposed to share.
Sure.
I'm not that comfortable with Teams. We use WebEx. So and Cozy, how do I get that?
How do you get what?
I think I'm lost. Where am I?
Oh, just join back via Teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is Carol.
So how do I share?
I think you want, we see your screen. I think you just want to go to slideshow.
Correct.
Right.
So I go to slideshow, but
oh no, you've lost PowerPoint again. If you want to bring PowerPoint up on the screen, that's good.
Okay, but I don't want to be sharing this monitor. I want to be sharing the other monitor. And Cozy, do you know what I mean? How do I do that?
I can't tell you now.
Display settings at the top, you can switch the views.
Display settings, swap. Okay, much better. Great. I think that's what I wanted. Thank you. All right, so what is annexation? Annexation is essentially a process where a municipality can legally incorporate land which is adjacent to it. Annexations are, the process is entirely governed by state law, by local government article, and there are some key requirements to annexation. Any land to be annexed needs to be a part of the city's comprehensive plan. The requirement is also that the property should be contiguous and adjoining to the municipality. And the annexation of any land cannot create an enclave. So what is the process of annexation? Annexation can be initiated either by a private property owner, which is how we've, 99% of the city's annexations are because of a property owner expressing an interest in annexation and initiating the process. Most of the property owners come into the city because they need a different zoning than what is offered in the county, or they need city services like water and sewer, or just city services because we are a small municipality. They have access to the mayor and council, and they can make their concerns heard. And we have a nice parks and recreation department, and the city has many community centers and facilities that are very attractive to those that are just outside the city limits. So we've had several annexations in the past initiated by single property owners. However, multiple property owners can also initiate annexation. The requirement is that that annexation should be approved by at least 25% of the qualified voters, along with 25% of total assessed property in the land to be annexed. So alternatively, annexation can also be initiated by a municipality by obtaining the consent of 25% of qualified voters and property owners with 25% of assessed value. So what is Rockwell's position on annexation and its current and projected plans and priorities for annexation? In 2006, the state added a requirement that annexations must be consistent with the city's municipal growth element. Consistency means that an area to be annexed must be included in the municipal growth area in the comprehensive plan and in the municipal growth element. A municipality cannot annex any area that is not included in the growth element. Therefore, municipalities should carefully consider the potential annexation areas during the comprehensive plan development process. So, so the city had a municipal growth element in its comprehensive plan, which established a vision and goals for municipal growth, which are listed in the slide. So for Rockwell's comprehensive plan, as some of you may know, was adopted in August of 2021. Municipal growth element is an important part of the comp plan. Since the city cannot annex an area that's not included in the municipal growth element, the mayor and council carefully considered its maximum expansion limits during the plan development process. The inclusion of a property or any property in the municipal growth element does not mean that the city must annex that area, but it does communicate to the residents, the county, and other stakeholders that certain areas have the potential to be annexed. the municipal growth element also included an annexation strategy for the city and has defined areas where the city can conduct proactive annexation approach, a proactive annexation approach. Some of the guiding principles for proactive annexations were to consider properties that are logical and feasible and those that provide inherent advantages to both the city and property owners with the annexations. So this map shows the city of Rockwell boundaries in a light color, and the hatched dark color shows where the mayor and council have expressed an interest in the city being proactive towards annexation, such as reaching out to the property owners and asking them if they have an interest in the annexations and into being annexed into the city. The light orange shows areas that are in the city's maximum expansion limits. In your community, Durwood is also included in that area, where the mayor and council would definitely be interested if property owners came into the city and said that, hey, we are interested in annexing into the city. We would definitely consider the application. But the state still has a requirement that the properties need to be adjacent to the city limits. We cannot annex properties that are not adjacent to its boundaries. And I was kind of trying to zoom in to the northeast part of the city, which is your community. And it shows in a little bit of detail that Durwood community is in the city's maximum expansion limits. This plan kind of shows the area between Frederick Road and the CSX railroad tracks, where the city has expressed an interest in annexation, and mainly because there are opportunities of land use changes on both sides of the tracks, which was evident with some properties being annexed next to the metro station for residential development. And more recently, we had another annexation application by EYA developers that, if you can see my highlighter, that property was annexed into the city, and there's a proposal to develop into a mixed-use development with mostly residential development. So these are, and then there are certain other areas in the city that the city is also interested in annexing to provide better services, and also to kind of integrate uses. For example, along East Goody Drive, it would be better if there were properties on both sides of East Goody Drive in the city, so we could provide better services. And so the city is just kind of, has a vision. We haven't actively reached out to, property owners because it requires a lot of effort and requires a lot of staffing. But we've just expressed an interest with our municipal growth element that the city would be interested in annexing the properties if there was interest. So this is where we are with the annexation process. And I'm sorry, I lost everyone again. Do you have any questions of me? Do you want me to elaborate on any of the slides that I presented, or is there something else that I should be providing more details on?
Manisha, thank you very much. I'll just moderate the questions and defer to them as they come. Carol, go ahead. I see your hand. If you have a question to all on the call, just raise your hand and I'll call on you sequentially. Thank you.
I just was going to make a clarification because you seem to be awfully confused in terms of what constitutes Durwood. Durwood is actually the 20855 zip code. So the portion of Durwood that you've got on your map is just a very small part of what is Durwood.
Okay.
And for a lot of us, what you've got highlighted isn't even our neighborhoods.
But what was highlighted in the map, in the PowerPoint that I showed you, is what is within the city's maximum expansion limit.
Right. I'm just saying that it's just a very small part of Durwood.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's only the southern part of the community.
And you know, I've got an issue with people trying to become part of Rockville because they want to get their zoning changed. Because we actually work very hard on our master plans. And they make, a lot of sense from the land use perspective. They're our zones are put into place for important reasons. And so, I've got an issue with you guys trying to, come in and pick off properties just because property owners want to get a change in their zoning. Particularly as you start encroaching into the Durwood area where some of the zoning decisions were made because it's actually protecting things like environmentally sensitive and important stream valleys and things like that. So what's your response to something like that?
Did you have any specific property in mind that you think Rockwell has annexed and it should have been a different use?
No, I know you've got your eyes on the Shady Grove Metro Station. The Shady Grove Metro Station is the one and only station in the system that actually drains to a use class 4 watershed. And I don't think that the city of Rockville has it within their bandwidth to actually oversee development in an area that is at that level of environmental sensitivity.
Absolutely. And we do have pretty stringent environmental requirements as well. And we wouldn't do anything different than the county recommends with respect to the stream valleys or, the environmentally sensitive areas that are on that property. If the city were to annex it, any development that the city would propose would probably be, we don't know that yet. But with respect to Shady Grove Metro Station, the mayor and council have expressed an interest in, looking at what it means if the city were to annex it, but they haven't given us any kind of direction yet. So we haven't started any process about the annexation for Shady Grove Metro Station as of now. If an annexation process, the way it starts is that the mayor and council needs to introduce the resolution stating that they have an interest in annexing the property, and they haven't done so as yet. So we've not started the process for annexation of the Shady Grove Metro Station.
Thank you, Manisha. We're going to go to Benny. You had your hand up. And then we have a question from Drew, who's here. So Benny, you go ahead, please. Thank you.
Hi, yes, this is Benny Garcia. I'm I guess, the oldest member of the West Side of Shady Grove townhome community. I guess in age and also living here. One question, and it's a basic question, but so the area that I live in, who does it belong to? You know, a basic question: does it belong to Durward, or does it belong to Rockville, or does it belong to nobody? And it's just a matter of first grab. You know, yeah. For my zip code, I use the Durwood zip code. So if someone could explain to me, you know, the area that I live in, who does it belong to, Durwood or Rockville? And then how can another municipality grab it? If I do belong to Durwood, how can Rockville just grab it? Or do I live in an area that doesn't belong to anyone? If someone could give me, if someone from the government, the county government could explain that to me, or city government?
I think both me and Kosi would be, would be perfectly able to explain that to you. Right now, Durwood is in Montgomery County. It's not a part of incorporated. It's not a part incorporated into either the city of Rockwell or the city of Gaithersburg. So it belongs to Montgomery County.
Okay, then the Shady Grove Metro Station, who does that belong to? You know, what property does that sit on? Who owns that land?
WMATA owns, the land is owned by WMATA, Washington Metropolitan Transit Agency. And the land is in Montgomery County. So the ownership is by WMATA and the land is situated in Montgomery County.
So I go back to my question: how can Rockville grab where I live, or grab the Shady Grove Metro Station? I just don't understand that.
Rockwell, all municipalities have authority to annex properties that are adjacent to them, and that is primarily, we haven't gone in, the city in the past hasn't gone and grabbed any property outside its city limits. Most of the properties that have come into the city have been because the property owner has been interested in being a part of the city, for better services or for zoning changes or for other interests. And the mayor and council carefully goes through that process and sees, if it makes sense for the city to get that property, or for the city to be a part of, for the property to be a part of the city. And when it goes through the annexation process, it's a state mandated process. There are public hearings, and the county also has an opportunity to comment on whether they would approve of the annexation or they would disapprove of the annexation. And there's also a referendum process whereby the county can oppose the annexation and the annexation will not happen. So annexation is a long drawn out process, which is guided by state law.
Okay, one question, and then I'll stop asking questions others can ask. So right now, from what you've said, so the area where I live, has someone asked for it to be annexed? You mentioned EYA. I'm a homeowner here, so I'd like to know, has EYA or anybody else asked for the property that I live on to be annexed?
Nobody can ask for anybody else's property to be annexed. You have to have ownership of the property before you request that you annex it. Any kind of property to petition for annexation, you have to prove that you have ownership of the property.
Okay, thank you. I'll let others ask their questions. Thank you.
Benny, thank you, and good to see you as always. Drew, who's here with us, asks, you mentioned that EYA requested annexation. What is the status of that particular request? Thank you, Drew.
That property was annexed into the city. It is a part of the city now. The annexation became effective last November.
Okay, let me drill down on that a little bit. I might share the screen back with you so you can look at that map again. But what property are we talking about specifically? Maybe you could bring up the map and keep the map up.
That's what I'm raising my hand about, Jeff, too.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's the former Buick dealership.
Correct.
Right across from the waste transfer station.
Okay. I just want to be clear about that. That's all. I'm going to change my setting here.
Do you still want me to share it?
Yeah, Manisha, having that map up is a really good visual, and I think it lends itself to perhaps some other questions that are going to come up. Benny, I see your hand. Please go ahead. You're muted, Benny.
Is this the map that we want? Is this a map that we want to keep up?
You got to share your screen.
I am not sharing my screen. I am sorry.
Okay. That's okay. Yeah, it was the second map part, the detailed part was very, very helpful.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just not very used to Teams. I did send you the PDF file, you and Nkosi. Are you able to share it?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, let me download it. Let me work on that. It's okay. Let me work on that, and let's go to Magdalena. Magdalena, please go ahead with your question.
Hi. So the question that I have is, from what I heard, I'm actually a resident of the west side to Shady Grove, on the side between the tracks and Crabs Branch, the properties. And based on the map that we were shown, it appears that we are in the maximum in the MEPs. This is what my understanding is from the explanation. However, it is also my understanding that we as property owners cannot apply for annexation until the neighboring properties, which are between our properties and the tracks, are actually annexed, which means that, we are way, way, way far away from, anything like this. So my question is, how long on an average is an annexation process taking? Because obviously, in order for us to apply for annexation, those properties that are, in red, the way I'm looking at the map, have to be annexed first. Otherwise, we won't be adjacent property at all.
You are absolutely right. For any municipality to annex any property, adjacency and contiguity is the primary requirement. So unless you are adjacent, your property is adjacent to the city, you cannot apply to be annexed into the city. That is for the state law. The state law wouldn't let us accept that annexation petition.
And with that being said, my understanding is that all those properties that are in red, there is a proactive annexation process you mentioned that is yet to be, gone through. So my question is, how long does it's going to take? Will this process take, in your experience? Obviously, this is not the first annexation that you have been working on. So a little bit more insight. Are we talking about a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades? Benny, my, compliments to your age. I'm in the elderly group too. So will this see brought to fruition in our lifetime, or would it be in the, the next generations?
It's really an annexation process. Once we receive a petition, it really depends on the size of the property. If the property is less than 25 acres, the public hearing requirements are less, again, per the state law. If it is over 25 acres, then it needs to be advertised several times. And then there is, it needs to be, like, for example, if a property is more than 25 acres, it needs to be advertised 4 times in a newspaper of general circulation, which we advertise in the Washington Post. And then there are more public hearing requirements as well. So if it is a small owner who wants to, a residential property that wants to be annexed into the city, typically if there are no objections to that annexation, it can pretty much happen in a year. The process is, for informing the county, informing the residents, informing the property owners around it. The process typically takes about a year or about 18 months to be incorporated into the city. But if it's larger than that, it really depends on how much objection from the county or from other agencies is there for the annexation. The process can take longer. As a matter of fact, King Farm was annexed into the city. I think that process took about 5 years from when it was initiated till when the annexation became effective, because there were certain things that, with respect to the zoning, that had to be there was a lot of discussion to and fro with the mayor and council of how it would work out the best for the property owners and for the city. So it really depends on how complex the property is and what is being requested for as a final product. So it could range from like 1 year to 5-6 years, or it may just not happen. The property owner may decide that they don't want to pursue it, or the city may decide that they don't want to pursue it, and it may just not happen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is it Habibi? You have your hand up?
Yes.
Payman, excuse me.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I kind of got into this conversation a little late. Sorry, I wasn't able to join earlier. But if I'm a little puzzled because my address, I live in west side of Shady Grove as well, and my address says Rockville. So are you saying that we are not part of Rockville City?
Yeah, that's the everlasting question. All of Rockwell is not in the city of Rockwell. It's really they're different zip codes that are Rockwell, but they're not necessarily the city of Rockwell. If you could go to the previous slide, Jeff, that shows the city boundary. Yeah, so what you see in the light color is what is the city of boundary, which is the city boundary and the city of Rockwell. But everything outside it is maybe Rockwell, but it's not in the city.
Okay, so then even though my address says Rockville, I'm not part of Rockville? So what
You are
city
in
I'm
Rockwell,
part
but
of?
you're not a part of the city of Rockwell. You're in Montgomery County.
Yeah,
Oh,
better
I see.
said, this is Craig. Better said, you are not in Rockville, but the zip code has a zip code that calls it Rockville. So by zip code, you are in Rockville, but you are not in Rockville. Rockville is the incorporated limits of the boundary here, but the zip codes don't coincide with that.
And actually, it depends upon what zip code program you're using. 20855 actually should not be coming up as Rockville. It should be coming up as Durwood. And it should have started doing that back in the 1970s, which is why people get confused.
Okay, because I got my driver's license as well, and that one says Rockville on it as well.
Yeah.
So, okay. Good to know. Thanks.
But it's confusing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I see, Carol, that your hand was up. I think you asked what you, yep. And Diana Woodfolk, welcome. Go ahead.
Which, who, me?
Yeah, Diana, go ahead. I see your hand up.
Yeah, I had a I think, yeah, Benny, that was a good point you brought up because I'm in West Side also, and I just moved it last week. So I'm having issues with packages being delivered because my address is not coming up. And I am the 20855, and I'm going to get my driver's license changed. But Lennar Builder is telling us it's Rockville, but you're right, it comes up Durwood. So when I get my driver's license, is it Durwood or Rockville? Like,
So just to let you know, my husband, his driver's license says Durwood. Mine says Rockville. I took my sales papers, ownership papers for our home to the MVA, and they gave me a driver's license based on the fact that I bought in Rockville.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so take those papers. If you want it to say Rockville, take the papers and they will make it a Rockville driver's license.
Okay, thank you. That's what,
All
yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah.
But being in Montgomery County, you could probably also say that you're Potomac or Bethesda or any place else that's unincorporated.
okay.
And I live in Rockville, and my zip code is 2854, which is also part of Potomac zip code. The zip code is both, and the mail gets delivered to my house as long as it says 2854. It doesn't matter if it says Rockville or Potomac, it gets delivered.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody wanted to buy this property in Durwood. They all wanted to buy a Rockville address. I mean, that's what you hear from anybody that lives over here. So
That is true. That is true, Shavana.
Could I just, I'm sorry, Craig, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want, you get a Rockville zip code, but you don't pay the Rockville taxes and you don't get the Rockville services.
I mean, what better services would you give us?
Well, you can look at our survey. A lot of people who used to live outside the city, who move in the city, compliment us for a few of our services. One is our road maintenance services. Our roads are repaved at a much more frequency than the county. Our snowing services are usually better delivered. We do refuse service with our in-house people, and we get a lot of compliments on our park services, and we have our own police force. So we have the Montgomery County Police Force and we have the Rockville Police Force on top of that. So we usually have more patrolling, et cetera. So a lot of those services is what our residents come to us and say, and they do pay more taxes, but a lot of our residents say it's well worth it to receive those extra services. So you in the state of Maryland, it's a very county-centric state. I've been in other areas where it's not that way. And basically, Montgomery County is the government that provides your services in the Durwood area. City of Rockville is the one that provides most of those services, except for schools and fire that the city decides not to. So our residents tell us, I pay more taxes, I expect better services. And that's what we are held to. And we tell our employees that's what our residents desire from us. It's one of the reasons why some people want to live in Rockville, for the services.
Thank you, Craig. Aaron, I'm sorry, Diana, did we answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. You're welcome. Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so just so everyone knows, my name's Aaron Kraut. I work for County Council Member Dawn Lutke, who is your County Council member, brand new as of Monday. We were just sworn in, and with the newly created County District 7. So we are one of your direct representatives to the legislative branch of Montgomery County government. So I just want to introduce myself that way. And I'm not going to present an opposing view from Craig, but I just, I would just point out, you should be receiving quality services from county government. I know in many respects, in many detailed and specific respects, that's not happening. So, it's something that Councilmember Lutke is very focused on fixing. And I can tell you that I actually live in the city of Rockville, and it is wonderful. It's a great place to live. I've also lived in many unincorporated pieces of the county, and it's also a great place to live. So I think it really depends on what you're getting, what's important to you, and bottom line is regardless of whether you live in the city or unincorporated Montgomery County, you should be getting services like good street repair, sidewalk construction, pedestrian safety, which I know is a big lingering issue that we're going to try to work through with our county DOT and state highway. So yeah, I would just say we're here to try to fix the gaps and sort of expedite things that haven't been getting done the way they should from county government. So, and I dropped our email in the chat earlier, so feel free to reach out anytime.
Aaron, thank you very much. I just added to the chat, just for clarity, restating unnecessarily what you stated, that Councilmember Lutke is our primary representative. We also have 4 at-large. There are 4 representatives who are at-large, who by extension represent us as well. And notably, Councilmember Glass is now president of the council. Congratulations to him. I don't see any other hands, so I'm going to ask this question.
Though, Jeff, you do have a question in here from Sarah Islam.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Oh, Sarah Islam. Sarah is wondering, I'm wondering what implications annexation would have on residential property taxes. That's an excellent question. I'm sorry I missed that.
What is a property tax? I believe it is the city charges residents a real property tax, and the amounts are charged based on the city's tax rates and the value of the properties. I believe the current tax rate equals to 0.292 per 100 of assessed value for real property. It's on our website. I can check on it and get back to you, but I believe it is 0.292 per $100.
And this is on top of the county tax and the state tax, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. I'm just checking to make sure I didn't miss. So there are some comments here. I'm not sure. Aldo Cruz, thank you. How can our title and all purchase documents say Rockville if we are not in Rockville then? I think we've addressed that because of the zip code arrangement. The zip code structure is not aligned with the city limits structure. That's how I would state that in an amateurish way. Okay. So I'd appreciate asking, to what extent, Manisha, is there dialogue between Rockville City and Gaithersburg City on their respective annexation interests and respective priorities? Now, my reason for asking this is looking at the map. Excuse me. I'm mindful that this is Shady Grove Road, okay, and there are properties along Shady Grove Road that have been annexed by the city of Gaithersburg, and so I just wanted to know what is there dialogue between the two cities about their annexation interests?
Well, we do have it in a municipal growth element. We did recommend that the cities develop some kind of MOU to kind of have an amicable annexation process and identify their annexation interest. We do meet on a regular basis, and NCOSI coordinates our interjurisdictional meetings where we do talk about such things. But we do have we have not yet established a memorandum of understanding yet. It is recommended in our comprehensive plan, and that is one of the implementation steps that our comprehensive planning team is looking into, because once our plan was adopted, we developed a list of implementation strategies on how to implement the various strategies that are in our comprehensive plan. And our team is looking into, initiating that kind of dialogue to meet with Gaithersburg and identify annexation interests. But it's really depends on the property owner. If they want something, they will try to go to the respective jurisdictions and try to get what they can out of them. It really depends. If Rockwell and Gaithersburg have overlapping maximum expansion limits, then the property owner can kind of decide where they want to go. So it gives them a lot of flexibility as well as to where they would be interested in going for annexations. But we've tried to maintain Shady Grove Road as our limit for annexations, and our mayor and council and planning commission have been pretty strong about that we would like to keep our hands-off properties that are east of Shady Grove Road.
That's very helpful. Thank you. And John, a point, and do you want to elaborate? John Compton writes, Jeff, the Shady Grove master plan impacts other neighborhoods besides Durwood. Noted, absolutely right. I'm being King Farm, Washington Grove, and the Needwood Road developments. So John, do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, not specifically. I just there's a lot of interested individuals here from Durwood, and of course, there are big impacts on Durwood from the master plan activity, and obviously Rockville's annexations impact the master plan in the sense that they are not required to coordinate with the master plan after 5 years. So all sorts of possibilities are raised. But I heard you say we with respect to some Durwood concern, and I just wanted to be sure everyone understands that it's a little wider than the Durwood portion of the boundary with the master plan. No.
Sure. Forgive me, John. Yeah, John, forgive me. John, forgive me. That was not my intent. When I say we, I'm in my capacity as chair. I'm talking about the we that constitute Shady Grove master plan.
Right.
I happen to live in Durwood, so I have a bit of a bias there, but I do hear you, and I want to reiterate to the members of the committee that if there are aspects of the plan writ large that touch all of these communities that we want to surface and discuss in future meetings, please bring them forward. As we all know, there are some really key topics that one was referenced in the chat, which I'll just throw out there as being a huge benefit to Rockville if they decide to annex the east side of Crabs Branch Way. You'll get a bus depot, which you'll need to relocate. So there's a great opportunity there. I'm making a joke, which is probably not opportune, but I'm just throwing it out there because it's a major issue. That's a major issue in the sector, as are other things. But I do hear you, John. Thank you, with all respect. Manisha, go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I'm fine. Yeah, I didn't have anything to say.
Okay. Shobana, you asked, why is the west side not in the maximum expansion limits? Is that correct? MEL?
Yeah.
Maximum expansion limits proactive annexation area.
what west side are you referencing?
So
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
I'm sorry, I just couldn't clarify. So can everyone see, let me try to, so this here, oh, that's not very helpful, is it? I don't know how to change the color.
You need the other map, the larger map, the one before this. Yeah,
this
there
one.
you go. Yeah, the previous.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
No, that one. There you go.
here.
Mm-hmm.
So this area here, you can see my cursor right here. That's considered the west side.
Okay.
The west side is adjacent to Shady Grove Station. The east side, right here, is the undeveloped part of the Shady Grove Master Plan, which is the MCPS bus depot and relocated county facilities that awaits development and leadership to get there. But back to Shobana's question, why is this portion here not in the maximum expansion limits?
I would think that that's probably because it is not adjacent to the city limits. That because of the state law, we can only annex properties that are adjacent and contiguous to city limits, and that's a little further down. And also, I think when we were looking at it, we realized that those properties isn't there new development happening on this property, so there wouldn't be much incentive for the property owner to want to come into the city anyways, because typically property owners have asked to come in if they want a different zoning or they want a different kind of development. And if it is relatively new, we probably didn't think that they would be interested in coming in.
I would add that in order to get contiguity right now, you'd have to get the Shady Grove transfer station to annex in the city. The Shady Grove transfer station is owned by Montgomery County. Montgomery is not going to agree to annex in their transfer station in the city of Rockville. So it's just a matter of how the properties lay out and who owns them. However, if the Shady Grove station were to annex in the city, you could establish continuity that way, and it may be a future desire or something as to how you would continuity.
So I guess looking at this map, this area right here, is this where the transfer station is supposed to be? There's a wall. There's the railway and a wall right here. So it looks like I can't tell where the transfer station is here.
I think it's right here.
Okay. But that's in the proactive annexation area. So that doesn't make sense to me. Am I missing something?
Yeah, let me chime in. I don't think Montgomery County needs to approve annexation of property being used for Montgomery County facilities. They are not a recognized entity. If someone annexes adjacent or around it, I believe it will automatically become part of the annexation.
I don't think so. I think it still needs to go through an annexation process for any property to be incorporated into the city. When we did this proactive annexation areas, it was just to kind of direction to staff to kind of, go talk to the property owners, see if they are interested in annexing into the properties, annexing their properties into the city. And that doesn't really mean that the city is aggressively reaching out to the property owners and saying that, hey, we want you into the city. It's just like, it was a direction giving to staff that go and talk to those people, figure out if it makes sense, figure out if they're interested in being a part of the city. So if we have it hatched in a certain way, that doesn't mean that the city is aggressively pursuing any of the properties that are marked as such.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Aaron, you have your hand up. Do you have another question?
I do not, sorry.
Okay, not at all. You have your hand up. Please go ahead. We're going to take this question and then one more, and then I think we're going to move on, given the time.
Oh,
Magdalena?
yes, sorry. I didn't know that you recognized my my hand. So what about the USPS office? I mean, it's actually, you know, the Montgomery County facility that is over there. I believe the USPS office is, you know, closer to the Shady Grove, to the west side of the Shady Grove. What's going on there? Is it annexed by is it subject to annexation? Is it annexed?
Not at all. Not at all. It's in the county. It is still in the county. I believe it is in the city of Gaithersburg's maximum expansion limits as well. But there is no application or from the post office, no petition of annexation from the post office, nor the city's pursuing any annexation processes with the post office.
Okay, thank you.
Let's, one more question from anybody? If not, that's okay. I just want to, we have a couple of more agenda items and we're already an hour into our meeting. This has been a very informative conversation and presentation. I think so. I hope many of you do as well. With all due credit to Manisha and Craig both. Any other questions? I'll just ask one really quickly. Manisha, is there a single place someone can go to learn about the benefits of becoming a resident of Rockville, so that they understand, you know, what would happen to to my taxes? I've often been asked this. So, you know, if Rockville's interested, or I'm interested, someone has said to me, does Rockville have this spelled out somewhere? Because I haven't been able to find anything. Two of my neighbors have asked this question.
I believe Rockwell Economic Development Inc., our economic development arm, was working on a package to list out incentives to property owners should they be interested in annexing into the city. I will see what the status is and see if it's ready, and I'll be happy to share it with you if it is. It's probably on the website, but I'll send you a link.
That'd be great. If when it's available, if you could send it over, that'd be great. Carol, you just raised your hand.
Yeah, I've got kind of a counter question to that.
Go for it.
I think that I think Manisha, that you indicated that that you only need 25% of an area to agree that yeah, you know, go ahead and annex me, or you said, I think it was 25% of the land value.
That's correct. It's 25% of the land value. Yeah.
What if you want, you know, what if 26% of my neighborhood wants to be annexed and the other 74% doesn't? Are you only going to annex those who agree to be annexed?
That's interesting. The state allows by this 20% of the total assessed value of the property in the area. The state has given municipalities the authority to kind of draw a line and include others, that the 75% that may not be interested. The city could essentially use the 25% assessed value of owners that are interested to draw in 75% of the property owners, but the city has never done an exercise till date, and I don't think our mayor and council would really be interested in having property owners that are not in the city, not interested in being in the city, would kind of force them to want to be a part of the city. There is no precedent in the city for taking such a measure.
And it
At the
doesn't have to be
state,
it doesn't have to be the city that requests the annexation of parcels who don't want to be there. It can be the applicant. The property owning applicants can also petition for annexation and include some of their neighbors. And that's how some of them get contiguity with the city by including in their annexation petition other properties who may not be interested, but allows them to get to the rules of being contiguous with the property. So it doesn't have to be the city that's forcing or moving the hand. It can be applicants that also request parcels to come in, some of which who do not agree to.
And Lisa Guay, Lisa, she writes in the chat, I personally would be interested in seeing the costs and benefits of annexation of West Side by either Rockville or Gaithersburg. And I think I would echo Lisa's comment about any portion of community within the sector, just for educational purposes. That's all. So, Manisha, when you do have more information, I'd be happy to help facilitate sharing of it. So let's conclude this part of the meeting. And Manisha and Craig, you're welcome to stay on if you wish, or you can go whatever you wish. I want to thank both of you very, very much for taking the time out of your evening. And Manisha, to you for preparing the presentation, and both of you for your participation. It's very, very helpful, very enlightening, and much appreciated. So thank you both. We look forward to keeping in touch.
Thank
You're
you
welcome
for
to stay.
having us.
You can
And
sign off.
let me know if you have other questions. I had it in the slides. I
Will
had
do.
my information on the slides. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you
night.
both. Bye-bye. So we'll continue with our meeting. We have two other areas here, project updates and then other topics. But let's start with project updates. And I'll just ask Nkosi if he has any particular updates on projects that he would wish to share with those who are present. Nkosi, do you have anything you want to share? Any updates?
Nothing. Well, yeah, I mean, there's been a spinning of the wheels at West Side regarding some of the last buildable blocks. But in terms of deliveries of the multifamily building, that will be delivered probably early first quarter of 23. But yeah, I mean, the residents will be notified whenever EYA decides to submit a site plan amendment, and folks will be notified regarding that. So that's the only project that's on the way within the plan area. Next year you'll have more information regarding capital improvement program and things like that, regarding what could be funded in terms of roadway connections such as Amity Drive, etc. And I think between the last meeting and this meeting, there was that forum that the county held with Rockville folks regarding the 7 lock site, and it was clear from the chief administrative officer that the bus depot was sort of off the table regarding that location within the city of Rockville. So I think that's all I have regarding updates that are germane to the core of the area. I should note we have had a meeting with a property owner along Crabs Ranch Way and Monona Drive. That's where the Society of Biologists are located. They're in the process of selling that property. And you'll have sort of a light industrial slash biotech use will be going in there. But more of that will come next year regarding site plans and things of that sort. So that's all I have that specific to the plan area.
Okay, really helpful.
And I see a couple of hands, so.
Yeah, Shobana, go ahead. And then Benny.
Great, thanks for the update, Nkosi. Do you see that EYA is going to be submitting an application for amendment for that parcel?
Yeah, there's several parcels where they're looking to change, like the widths of the townhouses that were previously approved.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some other detailed changes that they're looking to do. But that's what I'm aware of.
So at Crabs Branch and Shady Grove, where there was supposed to be the light retail, I mean, I think we all know that that's not going to happen because they're having difficulty. Is there any way the West Side residents, because is that still owned by the county or in the county's jurisdiction? I mean, who has that property right now? The county?
That property should still be with the county.
Okay. How can we West Side residents petition the county or put something in place to make that some type of green space, a park, non-developed, non-housing? How can we make that happen? How do we do that? What's the vehicle for us to start some process, if there is any process available for us to do that?
You could reach out to the General Services, Greg Hassan and others who've been involved with this project for a number of years and have a conversation with them.
Okay. All right. I'll send him an email. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Shabana, I point out that Aaron Kraut's on here too, and you might want to keep him in the loop on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will do. Thank you. Because there's definitely going to be opposition to further development there. We have no parking. Our amenities are already overcrowded and overburdened. It's just, it's a mess. So there's going to be opposition for sure.
Because most of your amenities are supposed to be on the other side of the street.
Well, no, we've already lost one multi-family building that was supposed to be built here, and townhouses have been built instead. So the townhouses are taking parking, using the clubhouse, using whatever amenities.
It's true.
Green space is tiny. So with the multi-family building that would have been built, they would have had their own amenities. So, now with this particular parcel at Crabs Branch and Shady Grove Road, if that gets more townhouses, you might as well forget about trying to find any parking space here. It's horrible.
Let me clarify in terms of what I know it's being proposed is not regarding that particular parcel. It's really parcels that were previously approved that had sort of mitigation measures that had to be done on it. So those are the parcels I'm talking about, not the parcel at Shady Grove and Crabs Branch.
Okay, that's still the one that we're going to try to get some green space there from the county. So we'll work on that. Thanks so much for your help, Nkosi. Thank you.
Pardon me, if you all don't mind. I did drop our email address for Councilmember Sales' office in the chat earlier. I'm more than happy to facilitate a meeting if you all have planned to get some more green space in. Something more geared towards that specific kind of project. Happy to set up a meeting and talk it through and kind of see where things can go from there.
Thank you, Chris. That would be wonderful because in our community, we have so many kids. We have a very, very small patch of grass for the kids to play with no development on the east side. There's no park. There's nothing over there. So, I mean, this community, which was built on such great ideas and such a great idea for development, it's not going to realize the potential that it was meant to realize. So we'll definitely reach out to you. Thank you so much.
Happy to help.
Thank you, Shobana. And thank you, Chris. and Nkosi. Benny, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And I have to apologize. I've been, I guess, in and out of the country and on 3 different continents in the last year or so. But Kosi, you mentioned one thing, and so I apologize if everybody knows this but me. But you mentioned the bus depot, and you used the words off the table, and I'm not sure what was on the table. So I don't want to get into a long discussion about the bus depot, but if I could just hear from Kosi or from Jeff, what is on the, what's going on with that? What, like I said, Kosi said it's off the table, and I wasn't sure what's off the table. Is it funding? Is it planning? I'm not sure what we mean by it's off the table.
In brief, there was a proposal to utilize the Seven Locks Road Detention Center as via a larger redevelopment of that facility. And in redeveloping it, the Department of General Services has sort of laid out the potential to have some buses at that facility, as well as some additional sort of detention related facilities. There was significant opposition actually to both elements, both for the county bus as well as the other elements. There was a public meeting that was held at a county council's meeting room, I believe in I think either September or August. I can't remember which month. Where the chief administrative officer of the county was one of the folks at the table, and in terms of what was noted was that the notion of having buses at that Seven Locks facility was not going to be proverbially on the table. So that's what I was talking about.
Okay, thank
and I'll
you.
just follow on.
And
I'll just follow on that to say, excuse me, Carol. So as those on the committee are aware, I, with their support, invited Mr. Elrich to offer our community a brief on the status of the relocation of the bus depot, which we still, as a community, expect. It will likely be a phased relocation, and we understand that. And I think I've reached out to him I think I've lost count of the number of emails I've sent to him. I think there are now 7 over the course of the past 3 months. This is Mr. Elrich's own commitment to our community to offer us a briefing around every 6 to 8 months or so. He has not done this, and I'm holding him to his word that he will offer such an update. So while the bus depot at Seven Locks is off the table, from the community standpoint as a whole, and for the sake of the sector plan overall, in order for it to get properly as envisioned, as well stated by Shobana, that facility needs to be relocated in whole or in reasonable part. So I'm going to continue to, frankly, expect a briefing from Elrich. So he and his team we as a community expect needs to be done, certainly in a collaborative way with MCS, PS, and all the responsible parties. So I've talked with Aaron about this. Thank you, Aaron, for our conversation. And my humble is volunteer of this committee. I will continue to try to get that to happen for a public dialogue and an update. And we all recognize what the reality is, and we all recognize what the complex is. But it needs to get done, and it can't be ignored. And nor can a community's request for such an update be ignored. And I'm very clear to Mr. Elrich in my most recent email where I said, can you simply respond out of courtesy and respect? That's where that stands. Okay, Carol, you got your hand up.
Right. This is going to get back to Nkosi. So it's correct. It appears that the moving buses to the Seven Locks facility was announced at that meeting as being off the table. But it's my understanding that the Restoration Center is still going to be moving forward on that piece of property. Am I correct with that? Or
correct from the county's perspective, yes.
And as well as the update to the detention center.
Yes, correct.
Okay, That's good. Happy to hear that.
Benny, go ahead.
Benny and I just have, we haven't taken our hands down.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, very good. Okay. Any other questions for Nkosi for the project updates, or any for me for what I just laid on everybody with regard to the bus depot?
I just have a question, Nkosi, actually, gives you a chance to clarify. Aren't there buses located adjacent to that facility already?
The Seven Locks facility?
Yeah.
That I don't know.
I mean, there is a school bus depot very close, if not adjacent.
It's not really a it's
it's like a maintenance facility.
Yeah, but it's not a bus depot though.
Right.
Yeah, it's
a lot
it's
of
like
buses.
it's like a refueling site for county vehicles or something.
I thing I like information about is we just heard a very helpful presentation about Rockville's annexation priorities, which ostensibly, potentially extend to the east side where the bus depot is currently located. So they don't want a bus depot at Seven Locks, but yet they're looking at annexation into an area that has a bus depot. Someone needs to deal with this, and it's either going to be the city of Rockville or it's going to be the county. So, it can't be the hot potato that it's been. It's got to be a meeting of all the responsible parties, MCPS particularly, in a room to discuss the phased relocation of this. And in the middle of that room is boy, am I mixing my metaphors, but there's electrification of the buses. And that's a fantastic thing that's happening for the environment. But the fact of the matter is that the bus depot, as it exists right now, is adjacent to a wonderfully envisioned community. The consequences of the physical location of the bus depot and its still diesel fleet. So there's a big conundrum here that we need, and I'll say to Chris and to Aaron, the county leadership, someone convening a thoughtful, critical meeting of all responsible parties to tackle this and not only design a plan, but get the funding for a plan and a timeline. So we are at, go ahead, Aaron, sorry.
Yeah, Jeff, real quick, and I'll just say so everyone knows, Councilmember Lukey is committed to making that happen. It's definitely going to be something that requires your support, and we know, and your knowledge and your insight. So, reach out to us. We're trying very hard to get that conversation restarted with the executive branch after the announcement about Seven Locks, and it's our intention to have you in that conversation as well. So.
Well, thank you, Aaron, very much, and thanks very much to Councilmember Lutke as well. Okay, so we're nearly at 9 o'clock, and we want to talk about any other topics. Does anyone have anything else they wish to bring forward to the meeting at this point in time? Please raise your hand or just unmute. Okay, if not, I'd like to raise something, and I raised this with the committee over email. I'm owning this because I'm concerned as the volunteer chair of this public committee that planning is not supporting us to the degree that it reasonably should by making the meeting publicly available in a reasonable time after a meeting happens. And I want to ask you, Nikos, which you so much thought, but what support do you need from us, if any at all, to help get to support the work of these volunteers in this public meeting to make sure that the proceedings that we are undertaking are meeting the expectations of the Maryland Open Meetings Act, made available in a timely manner. And I ask this in understanding that we have volunteers like Carol this evening who's taking minutes, and these volunteers are taking their own time to kind of draft the minutes, and we don't have them for the October meeting because that was volunteer driven. But what can we expect of planning, and what do you need from us to get what you need to support us? Is there a bottleneck at planning that we can help with?
No, it's not a bottleneck. I mean, I think in terms of the notes, I sent it out late, so I'll own that one recently. I normally try to get out these things at least a week in advance or several days in advance. So that was send it both to you as well as to our web folks. Regarding whenever the minutes come to me, I get them out, right? And then on the recording side, there was an issue with trying to figure out how to get that posted, and it took some time for me and my communications guys to figure it out. So that happened the last time out. So that's all I have on that.
Okay, if we could just set as a standard protocol going forward that just when the recording is ready, just post it. Go for it. We don't just go ahead, because record. The minutes, we will take time to look at those, with respect to the volunteers or her time to craft them. We'll circulate them, around the committee, and we'll send them to you when we have them ready to post. But when the recording's ready, just go ahead, because that's public record and that shouldn't wait. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
And
really,
getting
Carol,
back to the recording, just as soon as you get it, if you can send it to me so it can help me do the minutes. That would be great. And I noticed that it says it's also taking a transcription.
Yeah, it does both.
If I can get if we get hold of the transcription, for in terms of putting the minutes together, that would be great too.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Nkosi, very much. And thank you, Carol. All right, with that, does anyone else have anything they wish to share or questions about moving forward? Excellent question. The minutes and the recording are publicly posted on the Shady Grove Sector Plan website, which I don't have immediately. If they can post it. Having a hard time starting my here. They will be on this site, Lisa, right here. Okay, site, and you scroll down, you'll see the Implementation Advisory Committee in green, and you click on that, and then this is where the minutes and recording. And thank you, Nkosi, the updates on the meetings for 23. That's great. You're welcome. Please. Okay, so messed up. All right, with that, I'd like to wish everyone a healthy and happy holiday season. See you back February 1st, 23, agenda to be determined. And thank you all very, very much for your time and your interest and your engagement. And especially also to Chris and Aaron. And again, thanks. And thanks to everybody on the committee. Bye, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.